Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to the Honorable Lecturer, Professor Madya Dr. Asma binti Abdul Rahman and my fellow friends. My name is Asni binti Saip, holding the matriks card number U2100. Today, on this fine day, I would like to present a public speech about economics and Islamic economics, and I will focus on Islamic economic system in Malaysia. First of all, before I continue to share about Islamic economics in Malaysia, allow me to share first about the definition of economics and Islamic economics. Economics is a social study which concerns on how human being allocates the limited resources in order to fulfill the unlimited needs and demands. Meanwhile, Islamic economics is the study of economics in the light of Islamic principle of bringing economics in consonance with the Sharia. Islamic economics is relevant to all people today as individuals as well as societies. For Muslims, Islamic economics deals with a part of their religion and way of life. Now, let me share with you about the objective of Islamic economic system in Malaysia. Among them are raise sufficient capital for withdrawal, use and exchange based on Islamic principle. Secondly, distribute capital to sectors that are truly in need and can bring benefit to society and Muslim as a whole. Thirdly, determine the stability of the price by removing negative and illegal elements such as usury and goro. Fourthly, to ensure a prosperous and clean economic situation, and lastly, to establishing the principle of justice and human being. Ladies and gentlemen, economic practice in Malaysia are a system of colonial practice based on the system of capitalism. However, the approach taken is not to replace Islamic practice but to create dualism of economic practice in certain aspects, namely between Islamic practice and continuing with current practice that are against Islam. Realizing the weaknesses and current lack of economic capability in ensuring the achievement of the well-being of society is a more proper way of compilation. To the Muslim community, the system is an Islamic economic system that basically needs to be built on the foundation and principle of Islamic Sharia. The economic arrangement according to Islam include the fundamental of the philosophy of existence and economic life of Islam. Secondly, ownership of property or economic resources. Thirdly, the process of implementing basic decisions and the role of government in economic life. And lastly, distributions of information for meaningful decisions. Next, I want to continue my point about the Islamic principle in the investment sector, Islamic views on stock investment, and floral association with usury ban in Islam. In addition, I also want to share about the implementation of the Islamic economic system in Malaysia, which is takaful and zakat. Let me start with the Islamic principle in the investment sector. In Islam, the concept of shirkah or incorporation in general is based on the concept of investment. There are many characteristics of investing in Islam, but I only can share 4 of them, which is capital must be rationed by one or both persons in a consensus based on the form of contract entered into. Secondly, profit cannot be set in certain amount. It must be in the form of a percent or a share. Thirdly, each party has the rights and responsibilities that must be clarified in the agreement to avoid disagreement. And lastly, these investment activities must be halal and permitted by Sharia. Next is the Islamic views on stock investment. Investment activities are demanded in Islam as long as it does not opposite with Islamic principles. Islam always encourages money to circulate to the economic system for productive purpose. There are the verses of the Al-Quran that encourage Muslims not to use their property wrongly, and we encourage to be involved in business. This is described in Surah An-Nisa verse 29, which means, "O you who have believed, do not eat your wealth in first way except in the way of commerce that is likest among you. And do not kill one another. God loves you dearly." This sentence can be seen in this context of stock investing as a consensus of ownership of a company for business purpose. Furthermore, let me share what is the connection between interest and riba, which is forbidden in Islam. Interest is a compensation given to the receivable by the borrower because of the benefits he may get from using the money, while riba is the payment of excess from the original property in accordance with the agreement required in advance. Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala says in Surah Al-Imran verses 130 until 131, which means, "O you who have believed, do not eat or take usury in doubles, and fear Allah that you may succeed, and guard yourself against the fire prepared for the disbelievers." This verse clearly states the prohibition of usury for Muslims. Islam forbids it because it can oppress the poor by charging high interest payment, which leaves the group unable to pay the growing debts. Now, it's the time to share my last point, which is the implementation of the Islamic economic system in Malaysia, which is takaful and zakat. First is takaful, which is an insurance or financial compensation when a disaster occurs. The Takaful Act in the year 1984 defines takaful, which is the Islamic insurance, as a scheme based on brotherhood, unity, and mutual assistance that provide financial assistance to participants who mutually agree to contribute for that purpose. Among the objectives of takaful is to realize the bond of love, Islamic brotherhood, and unity in society, and to protect the community from the adverse effects of the misfortune. Other than that, the takaful system must be based on the concept of al-takaful, which is each policy holder will pay a contribution to assist who need assistance. Next is zakat. Zakat is one of the third pillars of Islam. Issuing zakat on the side of Islam is mandatory. Zakat management in Malaysia managed by the zakat institution in every state in Malaysia, such as Lembaga Zakat Selangor, Majlis Ugama Islam Sabah, and Zakat Pulau Pinang. Zakat also have a big role in the development of Ummah, which is it enhances the value of life of zakat producers. Secondly, it cleans and nourishes property. Thirdly, help those in need and strengthen social security. Lastly, the purpose of zakat is obligatory in Islam are to reduce economic imbalance, avoid freezing poverty, and zakat as an incentive to the poor. Ladies and gentlemen, I have already presented all my points on economics and Islamic economics and its implementation in Malaysia, such as takaful and zakat. So, as the conclusion, Islamic economy is an economic system that cares about the welfare of all parties, which are individual, society, and the country based on the Sharia. It is very suitable to be implemented and will certainly play an important role in the development system of a country. Well then, I arrive at the end of my speech, and I hope what I share today can give a benefit to those who hear it. Therefore, I end my speech with thank you very much and goodbye. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.